like to call the meeting to order. First thing would be the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to council. Good to see everyone. If we could, I'd like to start out with the approval of the agenda.
Get the wheelhouse Watkins ring as the agenda, please.
No, sir, Mr. Reed. And if we could now, and that will be in the minutes too, that he did ask that, because I know started the last one, please. The approval of our minutes from the regular council meeting, August 10th. Oh, I'm sorry, what did I do there? The approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda presented for September 14th, 2015.
I'll support that. Motion supported, roll call please.
Horton.
Yes.
McCafferty.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
Fitt.
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. Now I can, the approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting August 10th, 2015. Questions? Comments? There's no discussion, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for August 10th, 2015.
Motion support. Roll call please.
Horton.
Yes.
McCafferty.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
Fitt.
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Now the special council meeting minutes from August 27th, 2015. Comments? For those that weren't here, do you have any questions? If so, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes dated August 27, 2015.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Horton.
Yes.
McCafferty.
If I wasn't there,
Abstain.
do I abstain? Oh, I can. Okay, yeah.
Maury.
Yes.
Fitt.
Abstain.
Baldwin.
Yes. The treasurer's report, which is the purple sheet.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report September 14th, 2015.
I'll support that. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Horton.
Yes.
McCafferty.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
Fitt.
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Bills and transfer, Greenland. Discussion?
Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance, is that the final payment for this year? We made one more in December.
Renews in September, or December. So that's for September.
Any other questions? So, need a motion?
Motion we accept the bills and transfer.
Support. Motion and support. Roll call, please.
Horton.
Yes.
McCafferty.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
Fitt.
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Find it? It's hard already. We're at that part now of our public comment. Anybody have anything to say? Is there agenda items at this point?
Yeah, I've got a question. My name's Henry Martella, live on Schuman Drive. There's a tree down on Eagle Road on the north side by the siren. It's right by the road. Wondering if the DPW, if that fell on the road and the DPW cut it up.
We'll get to that.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up, it's only 2 foot from the road. I mean, why hasn't somebody moved it? I mean, that's an unsafe condition right there. Been there since last week.
We will discuss it.
Katie Vick, Green Road. I just had a couple of questions about the bills and transfers. I saw that for our legal fees, looks like we spent $27,770 for 1450. I'm assuming that's last fiscal year, and then 4,600, almost 4,700 this year already. I mean, we just started the fiscal year like last month. Are we gonna max out on our budget next month? And then my other question was, we're reimbursing for mileage and training to the sum of $650. Shouldn't that kind of expense be brought to the council before we agree to spend it? I thought that was what our personnel policy had stated when we reviewed that. So that's it.
Annika Cronander, student at the high school.
Al Gavlik, senior at Goodrich High School.
We wanted to thank the Goodrich Village volunteers for their work over the summer. We partnered with them. We're from the Friends of Rachel Club, and they just do a lot of great stuff around the community. So
We had a pleasure working with them this summer. Also, I would like to invite anyone to my senior capstone project on October 9th at the Goodrich football game against Lake Fenton at 7 p.m. Every school in the district is participating in the Chain Link Challenge through Rachel's Challenge, where we are building paper chains to signify acts of kindness done. One link is one act of kindness, and there will be a walk during the halftime on the football game, and t-shirt sales are happening now through October 9th at all buildings to go along with the challenge, and if you buy a shirt, you get into the mission for free, and those proceeds will be going to a charity. So, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for what you guys did too. It was a nice shade of green. It looks like it all washed off too.
Oh,
For the minutes, I just want to give names.
Annika Cronander, A-N-N-I-K-A, Nick C-R-O, and then D-E-R.
Thank you very much.
And once again, thank you for painting our shed. It is some of the people that painted the shed for the park down there. They had a good time doing it. It's fun watching. Thank you.
Hi, Patricia Wartella, 8010 Schuman Drive, and I'm going to ask a question of you, Mr. Baldwin. The special council meeting on August 27, 2015, it has on there property insurance proposals, and it was to approve the proposal to continue using Stevenson Company Township. Is that our same insurance company that we've had? Is that the same insurance company that denied our claim for the lawsuit? Is that the same one?
I believe it would be.
It is? And we still maintained our relationship with it? We kept that same insurance company that denied the claim? Why would we do that?
I'm not supposed to do this, and I'm very much adamant when I do not respond to this, but it was verbiage, and that's why it went the way that it went. That doesn't mean that it won't change, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's a legal issue. It was
verbiage,
the
with
verbiage and why those were denied.
why the lot, with the 17
That's
plaintiffs?
that's about all I can say, but it was the verbiage.
So we kept the insurance company.
Because they were the cheapest ones, and I'm not gonna respond to you anymore.
You're not gonna respond to me.
That's not how we
Why?
do it here. Go ahead, you can talk. Yeah, we'll respond later. That's how it works. You know the rules.
Well, I
You
know
just
you're,
broke them.
I said I broke them, I just tried to answer them because I went out on a limb, and now this is why I don't respond. I'll respond at the end of the meeting.
well, that's the question I had regarding the insurance and why we kept them and having the cheapest bid does not qualify it to be our insurance company that did not represent us with this insurance, with the lawsuit, with the 17 plaintiffs. But the other issue that I'm going to address, and this happened at the last regular council meeting, it was mentioned by Ms. Sidge that she does not have to get 3 bids for anything that is, that you're trying to bid out, and it's not part of the charter. I'm here to say this, as a taxpayer, I would expect, as a president, Mr. Baldwin, that you would expect her to get at least 3 bids on any work that we have to have bidded out. And if it took her longer than expected, then so be it. But if we can't get 3 bids until if we're up for a meeting, then table it until you can get 3 bids. There are so many companies in the state of Michigan that's seeking out work, and I'm sure there are, that would love to give out bids. But to say that she doesn't have to is ridiculous, and for you not to hold her accountable for that is unbelievable. So that's what I'm addressing at this point. And I hope the insurance company that you said that is our insurer for the village, because it's a cheaper bid, doesn't qualify. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. Unfinished business, please. Genesee County Sheriff's Department report. Anything to report? You don't have, there isn't anything to report of.
Would you guys speak in the mics? We can't hear you.
Anybody have any questions on the
I
Sheriff's Department?
do have a question. There was one incident, naked man on doorstep, and it is kind of entertaining. There's
We
no
don't write these.
I know, but there's no location as to where that happened. I'm wondering, does anybody know where that happened? Because I'd like to make sure that my neighborhood is safe from the nakedness running around town.
We don't write them.
I was just curious as to where that location was.
I don't know, could you call the officer down there and would they respond to that question? I don't know if they would they?
I mean, every other place has, basically I mean, it's not an address, I don't need to know whose porch he was standing on, but, was it on, Hegel Road, was it on, Erie Street, where, I'd like to know where the nakedness is.
We're assuming it's in the township, since nobody.
I'm sure there's a reason why he kind of
Maybe there was, I don't know, maybe he had a good reason for being naked on the doorstep.
And I'm talking about the officer that wrote what he wrote. He didn't say very much of it, in fact, just naked on the door, so that's what it is.
He's got to assume he was lost.
His clothes.
Okay, let's move along now. Number 2, the reports, the street administrator, 911 waterways, Parks Rec, whatever.
They finished the project uptown in the parking area. Tomorrow they will be doing places in Goodrich Meadows and a couple spots there, some in Mills Point, some back here in the condo association, and some uptown on Eagle Road that we're putting in blacktop. We have hired a guy with a small roller to help us. It's gonna be anywhere from 18 to 26 ton to do these projects. The tree that was mentioned came off private property. Somebody has cut it. We will be removing the front half Wednesday. Today they had to cut this section out back here. As a matter of fact, the road is closed. You can get in and out, but you can't drive straight through. They had to get that ready for the blacktop for tomorrow, and they've looked at the tree, and they'll take the front part of it out of there. The tree actually belongs to the property owner.
It doesn't
And
matter.
I don't know who cut it. We didn't cut it.
Doesn't matter.
I know it
It's a
doesn't matter.
safety, it's a safety factor.
Yes, and we saw it this morning. We didn't see it.
I seen it
before.
last week.
Well, you should have called. I didn't drive down there last week. It will all be taken care of. Somebody cut it and put it and left it there. And that's about all. They'll be busy tomorrow. They were busy all day today getting those spots finished because we had some extra milling done here or there, and they had to be swept up and done and when they milled uptown to take care of some of these projects, so. That's all I have.
Mr. Sitch, hello?
911, we're looking at whether the assistant director will take over for Mr. Failing, who I mentioned passed away. So that's pretty much got us all working on that, and the transfer of the city of Flint to our 911 county system took place in August, and it was a smooth transition. That's all.
Park and Recs, appointment,
Well, water and waste, there isn't anything. There's a meeting next week. There isn't anything on that. The Parks and Recs appointment, Jeff, I'm gonna butcher his name, Zmich, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know. Pete, you know his name? Dave's son-in-law's name?
No.
He wants to be a member of the Parks and Recs Association. Schmilt, I think is how you say it, I'm not sure. So I'm looking for an appointment, a motion to appoint him to the Parks and Recs. He's been attending our meetings and filled out an application.
Make a motion to appoint him. I'll let you pronounce the name again.
Spell it rather. What's it, Zmich?
I thought it was Zinich.
We're gonna go with that. Okay, for tonight, till we see him.
Something else?
Support.
We did have a meeting on Thursday night. Did Angie get with you, Shannon?
Yeah, she sent me an email.
Did you wanna handle that part or no?
I'll have to
Or I can do it.
bust my phone out to get all
Okay,
that.
but they made a motion.
motion, we gotta vote on that.
Oh, sorry.
Just need to make this pencil in one real quick. Okay, ready?
Ready, let's do roll call.
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Copeland, I didn't get your name all the way down here, so I forgot it. Thank you.
okay, now we can go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, if you've got it in front of you rather than.
The meeting went very well, and we reviewed the Parks and Recs plan. There were some suggestions for some changes from the one that was submitted to council, not major. I'm gonna be working with LSL, but the recommendation from the Parks and Recs committee was that the council approve the Parks and Recs plan when it comes before you. And that's all I have on that.
Code enforcement, I noticed Dave isn't here. We have something from the barn that's on Dutch Road. Mr. Lucic has obviously been down talking to the people that own that.
Give you an update then.
If you know more than what's written down, go ahead, please.
Last year, they wrote a letter to the council asking for an extension to be able to do it until the summer of this year. They pretty much said the same type of thing. They were looking for somebody to purchase the wood to help with the cost of demolishing the building. And you have the letter in front of you, and what they're looking for is approval to continue on this schedule. I'm not sure if it could come down in stages. I have to get with the building inspector. He wasn't available today before the meeting to ask. I'm not sure how the building was built, whether it make a difference as far as safety is concerned, if they take the front portion down and leave the middle and the back. That would be something that Matt would have to give input.
I also think that we should talk to Mr. Lucic, to our code enforcer, get a little better handle on what they're really proposing. Getting Matt to take a look at it structurally, I think, is very important. Other than that, I think we should probably table that until next month. Have more information.
Is that a motion?
Any other discussion on it?
I'll second the motion.
And it was a motion.
I heard table. Table's the motion.
Okay, penciling in another one here.
Till next month.
Yes.
Ready?
Roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. The administrator of the Safe Routes to School, Mr. Safety Grant.
I just wanted to update the township, the school district, Safe Routes to School, and myself have been meeting to discuss if we could put a program like that together. Most of the requirements fall on the school district, and the superintendent is very enthusiastic about this program. The previous one, not so much. She has registered all 3 of the schools that would be involved in it, and it's just trying to work on providing safe atmosphere, trails, sidewalks, however kids could make it back and forth to school. It's just really an update. The next item kind of goes along with this. At our meeting, we were talking about what we might be able to do out on Eagle Road and Gale Road to make it a little safer to get in and out of the high school and the 2 other schools, as far as just driving to school, but when there's events going on like soccer and things like that. So we talked with the county, and they're putting in a safety grant on behalf of the township, it's located there, to put a turn lane in on Eagle Road and go around and up past the driveway to the 2 middle schools, the elementary school and middle school. We don't know whether they will end up getting that grant, but it was a big step to get it in there.
Do they need support? I mean,
No.
they need to make a motion to support that, or?
I just wanted to let you know that the auditors are coming on Wednesday and Thursday. Mr. Baldwin will be meeting with them first thing on Wednesday morning. The audit will take 2 days. There's also, you might have seen signs around, a prescription over-the-counter drug drop-off and a community shred for Alice Township in the Village, Goodrich residents this Saturday at the Township Hall. Both of them, well, the drop-off goes from 10 to 2 and the shredding is 10 to 1. And you can take your drugs there and give them to the sheriff's department, and you can have 5 boxes or bags to take out and use the shredder if anybody's interested in doing that. That wire's already there. That's all I have on that.
Sidewalks?
I think we mentioned last time that we'll be getting bids for the sidewalks downtown, as well as near the Hego Road Bridge. When we finish the project, just to make the sidewalks on Hego in front of that parking area level. We've done it before, but they come in and put the slurry underneath it to raise the sidewalks up. So we'll be bringing those back to the October meeting.
Any questions, anyone on that? Attorney?
No.
Code of conduct. This is going to take some discussion. I don't know if anybody has done any research on their own as far as the code of conduct for elected officials. MML has probably got one of the easiest ones to follow. You know, Larry, you can look at that. Attorney General has some too, but.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Theirs is kind of outlined how ours are, but they talk more on ethical code of conduct and not an officer code of conduct. It follows the same scenario of what we're trying to do. It's a great outline to look at. And going off of that, I don't know if you see my email in here that I gave to Jackie that I think you submitted to Tom on. I think this would be a good thing to probably take to 1 or 2 workshops and try to hammer down instead of doing that here.
And definitely legal guidance too. There's, if you read that, the ethics handbook for the Michigan municipalities, you know, they stress that point. I mean, this is going to, it's going to be with us for quite a while. It's going to affect other councils, a lot of people, and you know, we just want to make sure we go forward correctly. I encourage everyone to please, you know, spend some time on it, do some research. And then Mr. McKinney, I would assume, is going to join us, and we can discuss it further and go forward.
I can check with MML and see if they have a workshop that would lend itself to this type of a thing, if you want me to.
Please.
Good idea.
Anything else?
Anybody else has any ideas, suggestions like Jake did, please email them to me and I will send them to the appropriate person. So we'll postpone that until
Yeah, at least next month.
whenever. We'll talk about it at the next meeting. But we need a motion for that.
Motion to table the code of conduct of elected officials.
Support.
All set?
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. The road, the asphalt repair,
When, do you want me to?
please.
When we had the downtown area fixed, the gentleman that did the milling for us, Ethan took him out to Goodrich, Mill Point, and showed him some radiuses that were sinking and causing a bit of problems when they're plowing. And he was available, so we had him do the milling on 6 radiuses out there, and that's part of what they're working on now. He milled it all, we pulled the fines away, and the guys are going to the asphalt plant, picking up all the asphalt, putting it down, and then the person that's coming in, we work with him on a semi-regular basis to help us with the rolling. He's coming in tomorrow to roll. I think there's 3 areas in Goodrich, Knowles, 3 areas in those areas in Mill Point, 3 areas, I believe, in Goodrich Meadows, an area over in Hawthorne, and a couple areas on Hego, like Mr. Morris said. And that should be the end of the road projects for this year, other than what's coming up under new business. Any questions? That's it.
The drain proposal, as in the meeting we had with, we shared with Atlas Township, there's kind of like 3 segments of this, if you will. The township is taking care of the first one, the second one for the 1820 would be our responsibility solely, and the third one, we're gonna see if we can talk to the township on that third segment. This is repairing that one sump drain that we talked about at the meeting. And it runs the pipe that basically in front of the fire station. Yes, this drain is only a drain that goes, you know, through there and down there. It doesn't tie into any other drains. And we talked about this earlier about having that drain smoked so we could identify if there were anything. So that drain was smoked to see if smoke come out in other locations. It did not. Then we ran the cameras down through there. There's one section that is between a house and garage that particular device couldn't get in. And we're going to have another one to look at that end of it, so that we are very confident when we're done that there are no other ties, no other spurs, and the water is going from where we're picking it up and where we're discharging it, and no place else, which makes some people very happy, I'm sure.
I did talk to Jason today. And if we go ahead with this part of the proposal, it should not cause any problems for the rest of the drain. He did suggest that if you want to, if you feel better about it, you could approve this condition upon receiving the quote and agreement with Atlas Township to continue moving that drain to the easement that Atlas Township is giving us. He still recommends to get the smaller television camera to go through there, and Mike said that he would give us a referral to do that. But with the 12-inch pipe going into the 8-inch, he said that it really wouldn't, that 12-inch would store more, and because it's going down, it would, if it's gonna do anything, it's gonna back up out of the first catch basin, or the northern catch basin. So it's up to you guys what you wanna do.
Did he talk at all about putting anything in there to restrict that to a small
He said that
thing?
it would restrict itself because of the 8-inch that's there. At this particular point in time.
But he did suggest the fact that we should take and make it all subject to.
If that's what you wanna do.
You need to get it off the gentleman's property.
I mean, we can go ahead with this. He said that it should be fine to go ahead with this if we want, or you can condition this upon receiving an agreement and a quote, but this still needs to be done.
I believe this needs to be done too.
Mr. President, if I may, concerns that I have, if I'm hearing this correctly, is that you're gonna go from a 12 to an 8. And I think that's kind of some scenarios that we're already running into. We have big pipe going to small and causing backups. Why don't we correct that situation now and not find out if it's gonna back up into the northern catch basin, as Jackie
That's
is
the
saying.
quote we're waiting for.
Yeah.
That's the estimate that we're waiting for, is that third segment.
We
We are going forward with it, just a question of
Okay.
how much is it, and we can't prove something we don't know how much it is. And we would also like to, we want to work with Atlas Township on the whole thing too.
This quote does have the replacement of the top cone section of that northernmost structure that we talked about. And just this obviously is not in the budget. There is fund balance that we can use, that we can transfer. We usually have $1,000 in a drain project. This came up unexpectedly, so that's what fund balances are for.
If I may ask, where would the other 48 portion of it come from?
Fund balance,
Which fund balance, I guess is what I'm asking.
general fund. And when we go ahead with the other project, if we go ahead with the other project, that would be the same scenario for that.
So clarify one more time, please. So we're looking at a motion to approve this total amount down here, 5,800 and some change, or are we gonna wait for the?
This is the only part that we would approve. The third part, the last segment of that drain, we won't move on that till number one, we know how much it is. And then we want to see what Alice Township's going to do for us too.
Well, it's something we kinda have to move on, we gotta get the fire hall back in order.
This part here we should move on, I think. And that's kind of what the engineer is saying, that last segment right now for temporarily is going to be okay. I mean, that's my concern too. And there's no guarantees anything can happen, but he feels pretty comfortable about it, and so did the other company that was there. They seemed to think it would be okay. In the long term, no. But for the short term, yes.
We get the quotes in order to tie it all in together at the same time, hopefully, we can call a special meeting for that.
I guess what's at our feet right now is whether or not we do this pending the second one, or we just go forward with it the way it is. Am I correct on that? So there are options. Mike is there. He would like to get started on it. And this needs to be repaired at the other end where the approach comes in. I mean,
And just to state the obvious, I believe, we're working with Mr. Johnson because he is there on site doing all the work for Atlas Township with their parking lot and their extension of their drains. That's why we have this quote.
Make a motion, we go forward with Mr. Johnson's quote of $5,818.20.
I would support that. Any other discussion?
If I may, I want to make sure I understand this correctly here. The third phase of this, so to speak, would be the potential replacement of that 8-inch piece of pipe.
We're going to bypass that.
We're not going to go into it, because I don't want to come into a scenario where it starts choking down, backing up, and all that fun stuff. So I want to make sure with us approving this isn't.
That's why we went out and walked it after the meeting too. We went out there and walked it, and this is how we're going to go. And they were looking at the plans, determining where the property boundaries were, and they kind of went out there and scratched in the dirt where it was going to go and how they're going to do it. But we need Mr. Johnson to tell us how much.
The township owns more property on that west side than we originally thought, so we would not have to go to Mr. Troop for an easement. The township would give us an easement, and they're working on that right now.
Right. We're still getting the water off this property, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also,
As soon as we would televise it to make sure there's nothing else there.
the initial estimate that they kind of were throwing around at that meeting, that's going to change a little bit because they don't have to saw cut as much concrete. Hoping where they can stay up there, where, next to the trees and the grass. That helps too. But at the end of the day, we still don't have a price. We don't know how much. Anything else? Mr. Caffrey, you all set?
Just a general question, why couldn't they get the camera through? Was the camera too big to fit through the pipe, or was there something in the pipe blocking the like a collapsed pipe or roots or something?
A lot of those reasons. I mean, it looked like there was like plastic bags stuck in cracks in there, tree roots, didn't get in there too small.
Okay.
Actually, the camera was too big to go to the last one. Maybe a smaller one to get in there, but
Okay.
the reason we want to put a camera in there is to make sure when they plug that thing, you're not plugging off somebody else's drain that you didn't know was going in.
Right, yeah, no, my husband used to do that, so I guess it's paid off that I listened to his work stories.
Any other discussion? If so, I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty.
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. The electrical proposal for the shed already. There was a couple, three other guys were supposed to come across with these. The other guy called me like it was Friday and said that he was through with his. I really didn't respond to him. They had a lot of time to get them to me. The price isn't gonna change a great deal, as you can see by the two that you have here. I'm more interested in the hourly rate and somebody that's local, so that when we have an issue here and we need an electrician to come in and do something, somebody that's close and know he can come in and take care of our needs. And his hourly price still be, acceptable. So if we have any questions, we need to get this going so we can finish that up before it snow flies.
Mr. President?
I'm sorry.
Which one of these two quotes?
Mr. Foster is local, Fred Gilmore. He's out of, he lives over by Kersley. His kids go to Kersley School, so.
So, Mr. President, if I may, Gilmore Electric looks like they're $65 for man hour, the other one, Foster's $67.50.
Yes.
So are these quotes not including?
That's just in case we needed him for something.
Oh, okay, so he's just getting us additional
Yeah.
information if you need to come back for something.
I mean, if the lights quit working in here, we could call him up and he charges a decent price. We want to have somebody where, they're on call if we need them. And we know what we're gonna have to pay them. And we all accept that we're gonna pay them whatever they are, $60-some an hour. And either one of these, they won't show you any kind of a show-up fee. They'll just, come home to you when they start working.
Well, Mr. Foster is a good man. He's been in the business for quite a long time. I would think he would do a bang-up job for us.
If I just maybe before a motion goes, Gilmore Electric is saving us $80 and their hourly rate is cheaper if you need them to come out and do any additional work.
That's true. The only difference is one of them is local and one is not. That's all I can say there. One pays taxes here, one of them doesn't, maybe, I'll go look at it.
Just for clarification for myself and for the council, these quotes, as the one guy put on here, fixtures and trenching for the pavilion are not included, so there would be some additional costs that are not listed on here if we're going to bury the line. We have to move a pole up on Hegel Road, and we're going to try to have one box instead of two that we would be working with consumers on. So there will be some additional cost. This is just the main project to get it to the shed.
And auxiliary lighting and whatever outside receptacles we want, and I think that it only makes sense that we do away with the one eyesore up there by our little monument now. We don't need that up there. We need it moved. Only 1 meter is all we need to service that park, not 2 meters. But we need an electrician in there to kind of give us an idea of what it's going to cost and what has to be done, and then they can work with consumers and getting the job done.
And if I may, Mr. President, just for one more clarification question. Jackie brings up a good point for Gilmore. However, I'm not seeing on Foster's Electric that he is stating that the fixture and the trenching is included in his quote as well. It's not on here, so.
It's not being listed.
It's not listed.
It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Not included. And there is no trenching listed.
Okay.
Right off the top, just kind of somewhat looking at it, it's possible some of those wires that go from the old to the pavilion, it's possible with an electrician could put his meter on there and find out, continuity if nothing else, to see if the wires are skimmed, if there's any shorts. Maybe it's okay to hook up to it. We don't know. We need somebody to come in and tell.
Make people aware of that.
There's conduit in there, but I don't know what shape it's in right now.
Well, I would, just going off the prices, I would go with Gilmore Electric. I would make a motion to hire Gilmore Electric.
I support that on price.
Motion and support. Gilmore Electric. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. With that said, last segment here of public comment.
Can I say something regarding this bill? Again, we requested 3, 4, 5 different bids from people. We can't force people to bid. We asked for 3 quotes, we asked for 5 quotes. Sometimes you get 2, sometimes you get 1. There's a lot of places that they don't have the kind of equipment we need, but we ask them, like Ace Asphalt can't come in and do the project that was, that they're working on now. So just for clarification, we tried to get the amount of quotes that we're supposed to get, but we can't force people. And you can't wait forever to do some of the projects that you have to do.
And a lot of these electricians I know, and I know them very well, and, you know, just summer, vacation, guys are going to Pennsylvania, the kid's moving his kid to college, and we were left with 2. Anyway, if we can, public comment, please.
Trace Allen, since you guys are pushing that code of conduct, you know, back for another month or 2 while you look into it further, I would just like to ask once again that it's not just for elected officials, but for the appointed boards as well, especially the ethical parts of that. I think it's very important because I think we've got some characters on some boards that we just need to take that into account. Thank you.
Keith Wallward. I'm here today to defend myself against allegations made at the July meeting where I was accused of being drunk, which is so far from the truth, it's not even funny. I was going to just ignore this, but decided to call the councilman out on his allegations. They were simply untrue and an attempt to tarnish my reputation. I've worked for this village for over 20 years in different capacities and have never been anything but dedicated in support of this village. I want to capture the councilman's comments accurately, so I watched the village video so that I would not misquote him. Here's what he said. There was an incident that took place at the last meeting with Keith Wallward and my wife at the end of the meeting where law enforcement had to get involved. He's on the Planning and Zoning Board, and he attended this meeting drunk, admitted that he was drunk. Mark Baldwin stepped in at that point, and he said those were slanderous remarks without supporting evidence. At which point the councilman said, and I quote, "I asked the police officer, and he said he was drunk, but did not drive here. We do not condone that as a public official." Mr. Baldwin interjected again, and the councilman said, "I'll get the statement from the police officer and bring it to the next meeting." After the meeting, I confronted the councilman, and he told me the same thing, that he spoke to the deputy, and he told him that I was drunk. I told him I doubt that, because I was not drunk, and I find it hard to believe the officer would say otherwise. So I waited for the next meeting to see what he was going to make up next. Nothing. Why? Maybe because after making his false accusations and not being able to back them up, he decided to let it go. I'm not sure. But I was not drunk, and I did not say that I was drunk, as the councilman implied. So I decided to contact the deputy and contacted him on his next shift. The first thing I asked was if he thought I was drunk, and he said, "You did not appear drunk or incapacitated in any way." He asked why I was asking this, and I told him about the accusations that the councilman made. I told him that the councilman said that you said that I was drunk. His stern response, and I quote, "I've never spoken to Mr. Vick." Really. So not only does that councilman like to make false accusations, but he's also a liar too. He never even spoke to Deputy Watson before making his allegations. So I don't know what kind of personal vendetta you have against me, but I feel you owe me an apology. When you make false accusations about me and false statements that you were told from an officer of the law that I was drunk when you had not even spoken to the deputy, that just makes you untrustworthy and a liar. So when you want to talk about condonable acts of a public official, elected or appointed, maybe the first person you need to look at is yourself.
As the said council member's wife, I'd like to make it very well known, Mr. Vick and I immediately walked out of this building after I was harassed by Mr. Wellsworth and immediately spoke with Mr. Watson. Mr. Watson, Officer Watson may not have known he was speaking with my husband, Mr. Vick, but he did. And he also spoke with him later, which I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you. I also contacted the police the next day to contact them about the harassment that I received from your committee member, Mr. Wellworth. That's all I'm going to say about that. I smelled it on him. Everybody knows he's drunk. What I'd really like to ask about is what you said about the insurance earlier. So what, if I'm understanding what was said earlier correctly, we renewed the same insurance policy where the verbiage in it did not allow us to be covered under a flooding lawsuit. They're not covering our insurance or our attorney fees. They're not going to cover any settlement. They're not going to cover us whatsoever. And if it wasn't a neglectful error or some other sort of error, that tells me our policy was inadequate to begin with. We have not made any changes to the drain system. If we flood again, we are screwed in a whole new level. We're already tens of thousands of dollars in debt for attorney's fees because that insurance policy did not cover us. We really, really should have thought harder about that before we renewed it. And then my last statement was just I wanted to reiterate what these young kids were talking about with Rachel's challenge. That came from the Columbine back, I think it was 99, which I was still in high school at the time, so that touches me very closely to the heart. It's not just about the schools, it's about getting the community and the schools to work together. It's a huge, huge, huge program, and I think that there's more the village can do to work with the schools on that. It goes far beyond just what these kids are working on right now at that game, is it in October? Mm-hmm. It goes far beyond that, and I think the village could really benefit from getting more involved with that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Tricia Wartella, and I've got 3 items to address, Mr. Baldwin. Number one, on the unfinished business under roads and asphalt repair. You discussed it about what's being repaired in the areas that you've gone into. All this repair work, has that been approved, money-wise? The bid, I mean, you talked about what areas that are being milled and worked on and being
the areas that are being milled, we went forward because we had them here and they were milling all at one time.
Well, what I'm asking though is, what's the cost? Was that approved? Was it?
Oh, absolutely.
You what?
Continue. We're not gonna sit here and have an open dialogue, that's how we work. You ask the questions.
So when will I get an answer?
If I don't have them tonight, I will have them next month.
Okay, and it will be on the minutes. Okay. The second thing is that I need to ask you about the railing that is on the bike path going towards the high school on the golf course side. Is that railing there, is that adequate enough, or do we need a guardrail there also to prohibit any cars from coming onto the bike path in the event that there might be a car that comes off of that bike path because of the area that it's in? Would that guardrail, or not guardrail, but would that fencing that's up there stop a car from going through? I don't believe it would. So I'm asking if that has been looked at. Have you, because it's right by your house, and the slope on that is so deep, and cement has been poured down there to alleviate the erosion. So I'm asking you if there should be a guardrail on that side to avoid anything happening to any of the, you know, pedestrians that are on it. And number 3, we do have a committee that you appointed people to for the health care, for the employees' health care. And when does the outcome of that, when does that happen, and when is that going to be brought to the table? Do you have an idea? If you do, address that for us, please. And then to be included is to make sure that whoever's on that committee, that they give out the accurate information regarding salaries and what the employees make. They need to have that, because the people that are on it, they don't attend the meetings. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council? Mr. Cafferty? Mr. Nick? Nope, I'm good.
Well, thank you, Mr. Horton. If I may, I'll address the concerns for one of the residents. I did go speak with Officer Watson, like I said I would, and there was no police report made, therefore I cannot present you with a written statement. I will watch the tape again to see how many times I actually said drunk. I do believe I stated that the gentleman had been drinking. Officer Watson confirmed that that gentleman did admit that he was drinking. I don't believe I said anything that was inappropriate, other than the fact that we should not be having people that are on committees drinking before any council meeting or a committee meeting. And furthermore, I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but I would never apologize to a man over a human being who treats my wife the way that he did. And I wouldn't have done that.
Now, Mr. Horton.
One thing about the health insurance is, one thing is that open enrollment doesn't start until November, so you can't even close anything and get it for a quote, because there's no insurance companies that will take the quote because it's not ready to go yet. That's part of Obamacare. So you can quote it 5,000 times, and nothing works until after November.
If I have one thing, I was approached about people not being able to find the high school. They go down Erie Street, out Dutch Road, and it was asked if I would present this to the council. They had the stop sign and 2 stop signs on Erie Street. If we put Eagle Road West on it with an arrow pointing them back that way, because there was 3 school buses lost in the last 2 or 3 days. And I think we can get a sign that says Eagle Road West with an arrow that way, because it's confusing. They see Eagle Road up here in the corner, they don't realize it's down a block. And the state kind of refuses to put one on the hill that says Eagle Road West. And the school would have to pay for it, and I'm sure they don't want to pay for it. I think these signs about yay big. I think we can put them on the stop sign without a problem. If it's all right with the council, I'll have Ethan check into it. Ethan's having surgery Wednesday, he'll be off about 5 days, so I'll have him check on it as soon as he gets back.
Yeah, see if we can do it and what it's gonna say on there and how much it will cost. I think everybody would go for that.
If it helps
Maybe
out,
a similar sign like the library.
yeah.
It is confusing down there. Oh, it's got the school down there.
If I had $1 for everybody I sent that way, I could retire again. Especially when there's a wrestling tournament or something out there. You'll get 30 of them a day if you're in the yard. Where's the high school? They go down. And I guess the high school should have been built here, I don't know.
That's right.
But I don't think it's gonna be too expensive. They're probably about 15, 18 bucks. Just put a couple of them up, and see if it helps. And, keep people from getting lost in our big town.
Okay, I'll just touch on a couple of these things. Some of these other ones I'm gonna have to look into. The insurance, sewer is the word that, sewer was the word. And with that, the sanitary sewers kind of threw us out of the insurance thing. But unless somebody knows more than I do and what the attorneys have been telling me, it's hard to say what's gonna happen with the insurance company in this legal case. Who's gonna pick up what cost? It just isn't known yet. So to say that it's all doom and gloom and they're not paying for anything, that's not what I've been getting. It's gonna have to take its course and we'll see where it ends up. The railing down there by that guardrail, I'll tell you what, once upon a time, I wasn't happy about that going down through there, and I looked into that. And unfortunately, DOT, Department of Transportation, it's okay. Since then, they've even put that curb there, which even helps it. How much would that stainless steel, and I probably shouldn't have said stainless steel, but that fence is stainless steel. How strong is it? Would it stop the car? I can't answer that. The curb would help a little bit, but
Wasn't the curb set out there for the drainage?
for the drainage, but still, it's gonna come fit into the scenario of stopping the car from going over the embankment somewhat. I agree with you, I don't like it, but so far so good, and let's pray that nobody ever does test it. The healthcare, I've talked to the people in that committee. Matters of fact, I talked to 2 of them today. They are working on it because of starting school and other things. They're a little further behind than what they wanted to be. They are asking for whatever information that committee wants, and we are providing that information.
Who's on the committee?
The committee, we can furnish you that information. Mr. Horton, maybe you'd like to say who was on the committee.
Well, I can't remember.
Mr. Ciroli,
Ron was
Conlon,
on it,
Trudy, I don't.
Trudy,
yeah,
Conlon,
Trudy
Conlon.
was on.
I have a list in my notes. There's Leslie Hildebrandt, Trudy Conlon, Cindy Beebe, Rick Ciroli, and Mr. Horton.
Mrs. Hildebrand is a teacher at Brandon Schools, and I think we went all over all of this. I tried to, as we appointed these people, or kind of picked them to get a variety of people and aspects, and somebody in a variety of different, industries. And I think they're doing a good job, but there's a lot to go through and look at. With that, they know what our deadline is. And, other than that, that's the best I can say. I guess that's about all that I'm gonna. That's about all that I'm gonna comment on here tonight. The asphalting that they're doing, our guys are putting the stuff in, and we're gonna take, and hopefully we can use that asphalt company to come in and roll the stuff after they put the asphalt in. So.
It's ongoing street maintenance.
It is a street maintenance.
Use these people all the time. And no, there wasn't a bid on it.
But it's basically our DPW, it's their maintenance on it. And all they're doing is we're band-aiding and trying to get as much done as we possibly can with limited amount of money. It's not the big fix, but hopefully it's a step in the right direction. And with that said, I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will make
Support.
the motion that you're, and there's support.
I don't think it's necessary. We can, yeah. Aye.
All in favor?
Those opposed? Thank you very much.